Love Story.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Love Talk Show where you can learn the intelligent love. I'm James,
I'm Karina.
and here we are, very excited
Yes.
because, we have the directors of the Love School in UK here with us, Bishop James and Miss Helena. Thank you very much, Bishop James.
I'm not sure about directors.
Not really.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for coming. So, Bishop James and Miss Helena will share with us the love story. And guys, I spoke to Bishop James before, and we are free to ask any kind of questions, right, Bishop?
Within reason. Yes.
So, look, Bishop James, we have the flash questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's start?
You'll start it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Who fell in love first?
Well, the question is for you.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I want to see what you're going to answer.
Well,
He's thinking.
I think we liked each other, but
What's the right answer he's
but,
thinking?
I don't want to.
Okay.
I think it was Elena. Was it Elena?
Yeah, I just liked him the first time I saw him. Because we looked very different.
Mm-hmm.
I looked taller.
I liked her as well, but I think who fell in love first, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was something in his personality. He was super confident, which was something I lacked greatly. So it was a first, and look how confident he was. He showed up at our first date wearing trainers, a blue jersey,
Football
jersey, jeans. I can remember the trainers were white,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
remember.
wearing a suit with very high heels, so I looked completely.
She had just come from work.
And I was like, okay, but he's so confident. Look at him. I like his spirit. So yeah, and of course,
And Bishop James,
his smiley eyes.
there is a detail about the first date, right?
There's many.
Yeah, there is a detail.
Yes.
I don't know. I
on
don't
the
know if we're to
first-
speak about this,
On
but
the first date, because I went to Portugal to meet Elena. I was supposed to be there for 3 days and then come back. And on the day that I arrived, on the same day we were going to meet, and I realized that I lost my return ticket. to
So he was a little nervous then.
Yeah, so our first date was to go to the airport to try to issue another ticket.
Oh no. Yeah. How can I forget?
But it all worked out well.
Yeah, different.
okay. So the second question: who's more romantic?
I think it's me.
Yeah.
Okay. Third one, Karina.
Okay. Who takes longer getting ready to leave the house?
Oh, that's me, right?
Every single time.
And okay, the next. I believe I know this one. Who drives better?
Do you know that one?
I
Pastor?
think I know, Miss Helena. I think I
I
know.
did not scratch the car. I promise.
Elena drives very well, but she doesn't like to drive. So
Yeah, I hate it.
she only does it when she has to do it. So I would say it's me. Not that I'm great at it, but I think it's
Yeah.
I'm maybe a
Go
little
ahead,
better.
Karina.
Who eat more?
Who eats
Who-
more?
Okay.
It's like
Easy.
this. You have to. You can ask who eats more or who eats more often. Who eats more often? Elena. But who eats more? I think it's me.
No, I think it's still me.
Okay.
Oh.
And who is more funny?
I think Elena is funny without realizing that she's funny. I don't know. Who's
Well,
more
you
funny?
do laugh at me many times when I say something.
Not at you, with you.
Okay.
But I think she's funny, but she doesn't realize it.
Well, he's a bit more sarcastic, a bit more
Yes.
English kind of
Yes.
sense of humor, the more. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Next, who takes longer to shower?
Maybe, I think maybe me.
No.
No? Okay. It's not me.
Do you know how long it takes for conditioner to, on the hair and everything? It takes long.
Okay, so it's not me.
No, it is. It is.
And let me see. Oh, who gets stressed easier?
I wouldn't say stressed, but worked up, maybe me.
The difference is, it's the same, but the difference is he doesn't show it. He looks very collected, but I know he is, and I will be a bit more You know, everyone will see I'm a bit more vocal.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Next, who is more forgetful?
Definitely, without
You.
a doubt,
You, right?
Elena. Definitely. Every single time,
No,
definitely.
that's not true.
It's very true.
All right.
Okay then.
Next.
And okay, let's finish that. Who's more clumsy?
He's trying to be nice to me by allowing me to answer first because he doesn't want to
No,
say it.
I don't
It's
know.
me.
Is it you? I don't know.
Of course.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. This one I don't know.
And
I know
the-
who's more forgetful. Definitely, it's Elena.
It's
And
just a little bit.
No, it's not. It's a lot.
Okay.
who is more organized?
I like to think it's me,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't agree. Can you see?
But Bishop, look, this
smiling.
question is
It
always a
depends.
problem. I don't know if you're with me, but when we speak about organization, for example, in terms of, my computer and everything, I'm more organized. If you see my computer, my desktop is everything organized. If you see Karina's desktop, it's like a bomb
don't
exploded.
like
Pff,
it.
all the
Yeah,
files
it's the
are
same-
spread.
Yeah.
So we have different kinds of organization.
Yeah, but it depends. I think that. Well, the other day you were saying, Elena said, I think it was last week. She said even the way I eat is
Okay.
organized. So the way.
I don't know if you've noticed, but next time you are having lunch with us or something, notice how he organizes his food in his plate. It's something he doesn't realize, but I am organized
No,
in
Elena is
things
organized.
that matter to me, like the house,
Yeah.
his things.
Mhm.
Other things I'm selective because I don't want to overload my brains with things that are not
Yeah,
so.
I understand.
You understand, right?
Yes.
Great. So Bishop James, 21 years married,
Mhm.
and it's a long journey. And we had already, many opportunities, and you shared with us a couple of stories, fun stories. And of course, I will not reveal them here. You should do that if you want. But you were mentioning about the first date. But if you go a bit before the first date, Bishop James, because there's something that perhaps some people they ignore, before starting a relationship, which is the baggage that all of us we carry. So if you could share with us a little bit where you came from.
Well, I shared this quite a lot when I used to do the love therapy, and before I dated Elena, I dated briefly an assistant that was introduced to me and so on, and that didn't work. Thank God it didn't work, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. But I learned from that experience. But I would say that I learned to an extreme that was too much. So I noticed that when I dated that person briefly, I allowed my emotions to cloud my judgment, and everyone could see that this person wasn't right,
Suitable.
suitable. The only person who couldn't see was me, because I allowed my emotions to cloud my judgment. So what happened was, when the relationship was over, and I was praying and waiting for God to give me, actually not praying because I didn't pray about my love life, but when I was waiting for God to give me another person, the one thing I said was, I will not be emotional, and I will not allow emotions ever again to cloud my judgment. But what that did instead, that wasn't good. It was good that I wasn't going to be emotional, but at the same time it was bad, because sometimes I was very cold. Not that it was cold, I don't know if that's the right word.
You were a little bit dry.
I was a little bit dry,
yeah.
and I think I was a bit overboard in terms of being very strict and wanting to test her all the time. It's good that we test the person we're going to marry, and the person tests us. But I think that became what I went through. The way I changed was good, but it was too much, because we need to have a balance. We need to not allow emotions to cloud our judgment, but at the same time, relationships have emotions, So I think that was something that over a period of, especially when we were dating, I had to learn to tone that down. I think even I think even Bishop Renato used to be worried that I was too strict with her.
He told his wife, go and ask her, is he treating her well? Is he being too dry with her? And she came to me actually. And I said, don't worry, I understand where he's coming from.
That was a baggage that I
I
had.
understand why he's like that, but I know he's just protecting himself. After all, we are still getting to know each other, so I was fine with it. Yeah.
Miss Elena, you mentioned a bit of insecurity, right?
Yes.
Do you believe that the way that Bishop James was a bit dry and straight, that caused any interfered because of maybe this insecurity you had in the beginning?
Maybe a little bit. When you asked us a while ago, who is the most romantic? It wasn't him, definitely wasn't him. He became a bit more, he gave in afterwards and he showed who he really was. But, it's okay. I knew he was just protecting himself. So at first it was a bit like, does he really like me or not? So, but I like him. So I'm going to stick around. I'm going to stay here in England for a while and get to know him. And then I saw other sides of him that
But you see
promising.
that this thing where we cross a line, like, I said, okay, I'm not going to be emotional, but it was too much. If
You were
Elena,
traumatized, I think.
if Elena wasn't a woman of God, maybe she would not have stuck with me, right? She would not have given me the benefit of the doubt. And I think we have to be careful that we have this balance, because sometimes you may end up pushing someone away.
Yeah.
I remember that we were waiting for the relationship to be official. So we would just I was working here for a while, and then see if eventually we would start dating. And it wasn't happening because he's a pastor, he was a pastor. So obviously it's a different situation. So Bishop needed to also know me. Am I suitable for him as well and all that? So it was taking a while. And then he came to me and he said, oh, here's the ring. I don't know if this is from God, okay? So I said,
Really?
what?
But this, in my mind, you see, this is where I said that we have to have a balance. Because in my mind, I thought, I'm going to test her. This for me was a test.
I'm not going anywhere. Do you remember?
But, it was... But actually, if my memory doesn't fail me, I think this was maybe a week before we
got official.
We were official to get married.
More than a week, but
Yeah.
it wasn't long after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was like, one of those things that you want to test the person. But anyway, everything works for the good of those who love God.
Of course, yeah. And he also got to see another side of me that I
Yeah.
was
It's good to test, isn't it?
Yeah.
persistent.
But Bishop James, there's something here that sometimes people ask us this question, and this is something that we usually ask for every couple here. I don't know for how long you dated, but
About a year.
Yeah,
A
just
year.
a year.
and the question that many people ask here: how were you sure that Miss Elena was the one, and how also you, Miss Elena, you were sure that Bishop James, even with that way being very straight and dry, and how could you be sure that even though this way of him, he was the one?
Do I start? Well, first of all, I was very cautious before I even met him. That's why he's my first boyfriend. First holding of hands, everything. Because I was also very suspicious of people in a way. I used to want to learn with other people's mistakes. I was young, so I didn't want to go through what my sister went through and other people that I knew. So I remember that I did a campaign of Israel, actually more than one, to be absolutely certain that, first of all, I wanted to be on the altar. And it never changed, the desire in my heart. And then I remember clearly I did a campaign specifically for my love life. I told myself, it's time. I always pray for my family in the campaigns. This is going to be for my love life now. It's time. And I was very specific in my requests. Not in a physical way. I didn't really specify how it had to be. Tall, short, big, slim, none of that. But his personality, his goals. And I remember that I had a little diary, those old-fashioned ones, you know.
Yes, I remember.
And I used that, and I wrote things in there, and I said, this is the year that things are going to happen. This was very personal. I don't think I've ever told him either. And things started happening as soon as I went on to the altar. 3 months later, we met through a mutual a friend, a pastor. And things started happening. So I saw my prayer request being answered. So, and I was praying, my God, is this really? Is this really? And as we went on, we wrote to each other back in the day. I still have the love letters.
Write letters.
I still have them, actually. Maybe I can bring them on Friday.
Beautiful.
Don't bring it.
Please
That would be a
bring
good
it.
idea.
Please
Terrible idea.
bring me the
We don't
know,
need to read them, but at least to show
I
you from
have
far.
them. I
Okay,
have
just
them.
to
Really
show,
nice.
just
Yeah.
to show, not to read.
So, you know, I knew there was an assurance. I was not, you know, shaken in any way. So much so that when the bishop said, he called me in Portugal, he said, are you ready to come to England and get to know him better from close? I said, absolutely. I didn't even give a notice properly. I just said, I'm leaving.
Actually, it wasn't the bishop who called you. I called you.
You called me?
Yeah, it was me who
Bishop
called you.
Renat also called me. Maybe you don't know about that.
Okay, maybe we're finding out new things.
Yes. The love story is always, you know, a place of revelations.
Surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, he called me
Yeah.
at work.
But for me was, I remember that, like I said, I dated an assistant, you know, for a very short space of time. One of the things I noticed is that I noticed afterwards. Everybody noticed, but I didn't notice, again, because of what I said, is that there wasn't this passion for the souls, for her to learn the language, to want to counsel people, to help people. It was very distant from the people. And when I met Elena, one of the first things I told her was she didn't speak any English. And I said, look, you have, how many months did I say for you to learn English?
Less than 6
I
months.
said, look, you have to learn English in less than 6 months. If you don't, then this is not going to work, because I don't want to marry someone who's not going to help me to bless the people. I need someone who's going to help me to bless the people.
And I agreed, I understood.
And I noticed straight away that she didn't wait to study, or she started immediately to try to talk to people. And I think in something like a month and a half, she was already talking to people, counseling people. And for me, that was, I would say, the main sign, because you want someone to be next to you, to be on the altar for the right reasons. You want them to have a passion for the souls. And I saw that she didn't do that because of what I told her. She did that because she wanted to help the people. So every day before the service, I would see her, you know, trying to counsel people. And I think in something like a month and a half, she was already, you know, I would say almost fluent talking to people. So for me, that was one of the biggest signs.
It was hard, but I'm going to learn this language,
Was
whatever
hard.
it takes.
So we can see that from your side, Ms. Elena, was the sign of faith.
Yes.
Everything you were doing on the altar, God was confirming, was showing
Yes.
you.
And I didn't tell anybody, not even my sister. We were like really, really close. Nobody knew about my prayer requests, nothing. So I knew there was nobody there telling me, oh, I think he's the one. No. It was just me and God. And indeed, I saw.
Very important.
Yeah. I
And
think this
from
is
your side, Bishop James, what we can see is that you sought to see, to make sure. Actually, you wanted to be sure that her objectives were aligned with yours, and you saw that different from the previous relationship. So after 1 year dating, you were sure about Miss Elena, so you decided to take this step, right?
Yes. We had, in the wedding reception, we had 16 guests.
Oh wow!
8 from my family.
And was not locked down, Bishop.
Was not locked down.
No lockdown.
8 from my family, 8 from Elena's family, It was a very simple thing in a
It was a lunch.
a lunch in a restaurant. And, you know, to be honest, what I was looking forward to was to start saving souls together with her. To be honest, I wasn't really that bothered about. Actually, I remember that when we were told that we were going to get married, I remember I even said to her, and she agreed, and I even said to Bishop here at the time, Bishop, if it's possible, I prefer to get married here on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Sunday morning, you know, we come
No
in the
need for wedding
service,
dress.
and then he says,
Uh-huh.
you know, we were told, no, it's for the sake of the testimony with the family, go there and get married there. But for me, what I was looking for was to come straight back so that we could start working together to save souls. That's what was on my mind. The wedding day, to be honest with you.
Actually, the church was waiting for us, isn't it? There was a
And let me just tell you, sorry to interrupt, Elena. There is a shop here in Fonthill Road, right? This shop exists until today. It's the shop.
We know.
It's the shop where I bought my wedding suit.
It was like what?
That
Should
was
we reveal?
2 sizes too big. If you look at the pictures of my wedding, it's like it was my dad's blazer. And I remember until today the suit costs it cost 50 pounds. 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Even then, 21 years ago, by those standards, was cheap. I'm not going to give the name of the shop, but it's called By Luca. Not advertising,
You can
but
find suits of any color.
but the shop is still there 21 years later. So for me, you know, what I wore, Elena's dress was from another assistant here in the UK.
From a week before the wedding,
A
because
week-
I was like, I
Oh.
can't afford it.
So she lent
I
the
don't
dress to Elena.
And it was by chance, because I just met this person in the office here. She actually worked here in the office, and she said, "Oh, you're getting married, right?" I said, "Yeah," and she said, "Oh, I got married not long ago. Do you have a dress?" I said, "No." "Would you like a dress?" "Yes, if you have one, why not?" But I remember she was very small. She was like size 8. I was size 10. But I said, "No problem. It will fit. If it doesn't
Yeah.
fit."
What for
But
me,
yeah.
for us, what was important was not really the day, was
Yeah.
what was going to happen after the day, that we were going to get to work together to save souls.
Which is you know, a bit unusual, because usually women, they are more into this thing, they value a lot. No, I need that dress, I need everything special, I need these and
The
that.
hair, everything.
But that's the
makeup.
problem, Bishop James. We see people that invest, you know, money, time. They invest so much in a day, and they forget about the day after. And how was the day after, Bishop James?
The day after
From the
was-
day after, actually.
From the day after was a blessing. Of course, we had some adapting issues, because Elena and I were very different, and we come from extremely polar opposite families. Our families are very, very different.
But we already knew that.
We knew that. But the thing is, when you start living together, that's when you see how different you are. We had a very blessed marriage from the beginning, but we also had some issues adapting. But it was a blessing.
Yeah.
But you were mentioning that you were from different backgrounds, and
Yes.
of course you saw that these differences eventually brought some situations in your marriage. Because sometimes, Bishop James, people think that, okay, we are of God, we have the Holy Spirit, so our marriage will be perfect. But I don't know if it happened, you know, to you, Bishop James, but I remember in my marriage, I could see a lot of my father in me. Not, you know, in the way that my father used to behave with my mom, because he was very aggressive, but, you know, even physically. But I saw myself, you know, for many times reacting like him, though a man of God. So it was a bit of problem. Have you ever had these situations?
No.
Do you know why? Because he lost his father at a young age.
Okay.
Not only because of that.
So he didn't have
You know, not-
someone to compare.
I don't think, for me, when I mean, let me just make a point here, because this is very important. Every person, it's very rare to find someone who gets married and everything goes smoothly. Okay.
Having problems is like, let's call it problems, because it's not really. At the moment when you're leaving the problem, it seems like it's a huge problem, but it's not. If you are godly, if you have all the knowledge that you have. You attend the church, you know the Word of God. The problem is not the problem in the marriage, is when the person is proud. She can't say, I am sorry. She cannot be the person who, okay, let him be, he's angry, he's upset. Maybe I did wrong, maybe I should have asked him first. Do you understand? That kind of way. That is the problem, not the actual difference between them.
But-
Does that make sense?
Yes.
But one thing is for sure. For example, I didn't see this thing of my father in me, but I saw things in me that I didn't know. For example, I didn't know that if I had a problem, I was going to give the person the silent treatment. And I used to do that with Elena. But I didn't know this about myself. Why? Because usually between men, we don't have this issue.
Yeah.
If you, like, we work with pastors and so on, you have a disagreement with someone, you know, men are more, come on, don't do that again, and we don't really get upset about this thing, and you move on. In a relationship, because I didn't want to hurt her, but I ended up hurting her because I gave her the silent treatment. I never knew I had this thing of giving the silent treatment, only until she brought this up, because for me this was normal. So
But it took a while for me to notice that you were
Yeah.
giving me the silent treatment.
marriage reveals many things about you that you don't know because you've never been put in a position to have to deal with that situation.
Yeah. So you were saying something very interesting, Bishop James, that every couple eventually they will face problems,
Yeah.
and this is completely normal. But for you, just married, you didn't know that when you start having these clashes, and how did you react? Because at the time, I believe we don't have a specific service, and though the church always
Bulletproof marriage.
exactly, though the church always valued the family, we always had the chain of prayer for the family, but in terms of counseling, a specific service for marriage, and love life, at the time we didn't have that. And how was that for you, Bishop James?
Well, to be honest, I only came to realize that the problems that I said here that are normal when I read this in the Bulletproof Marriage book of Bishop Renato, because no one at that time, we had prayers for love life, but it wasn't love therapy. So when I read the Bulletproof Marriage book, I said, hold on a second. So what I went through is normal. I'm not an alien. Bishop Renato went through the same thing and so
and
on.
many others, isn't it?
But what we did at that time, because we wanted to solve things, is just we did it as best as we could. I think
I used to pray a lot.
Yeah. And for me, it was very difficult for me to accept that I was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very rarely,
Shouldn't I emphasize
I
that?
wouldn't really apologize, and I would give her the silent treatment, and then
He was still very polite, don't get me wrong, but he wouldn't talk. And because I didn't understand, I was like, but what did I do wrong? So I would go on and on and on about it. So that would get him even more annoyed
Yeah.
because I wanted to know, what did I say? What did I do?
So this wasn't always, but I think to answer your question, what we tried to do is we tried, with faith and with humbleness,
And
more from her
also-
side, we tried to feel our way to
Did
try
you
to
get
solve
that?
things.
Did you get, is it recorded? What did you say? More humbleness from her side. Anyway, someone is given the word
Mhm.
and see what happens. Because, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. And I remember I used to pray a lot. At the beginning, I used to, feel very frustrated because what did I do? Now I know, looking back, I was extremely in his face. Like, give him some space, let the man breathe. But, right? No quiet moments, nothing. I was always talking and asking questions and why this, why that. Anyway, so I used to pray, and slowly, I used to notice other couples around me, like Bishop Renato, and look for a reference. Oh, hold on. Every time I used to work this out by myself, like, hold on, every time they are together, she lets him shine. Or whatever he's doing, she doesn't keep interrupting him. So, do you understand? I
Yes.
used to notice things like that.
But not in a sense of
Yeah.
comparison. You're
No,
not
but looking
comparing.
for a
yeah.
reference, like,
As
oh,
a
what
reference.
is it like to be
Yeah.
married? Because they were married for longer than us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I used to compare.
learn.
Yeah.
We have a question here from Burin. Bishop James and Miss Helena.
Don't tell the name of people.
I
people.
didn't say.
She just said Bullring.
Just
She
for
just said
Bullring.
Oh,
We have
gosh.
anonymous
Just
there.
Bullring.
Okay.
But it's here.
Okay.
Bishop James Miss Helena. Through 20 years being married, what was your very hardest moment?
Hardest moment. Maybe
Yes.
my husband can sing the song, Sorry Was the Hardest Words. Yeah.
Look, we of course, like every couple, we go through problems. Sometimes things in the work of God, problems we have to, challenges. But all the problems we go through, eventually they make us stronger. I think the beginning was a little bit tough, even though we always had, thank God, a very blessed marriage, and 90% of the times we were, well and very happy with each other. But in the beginning, like, the disagreements were more common. Right now,
We were very young as well.
yeah,
huh?
it's really difficult to have times now that we have disagreements. It's rare, very, very rare. But I think the beginning was a little difficult, just because we now, and that's what I said, I think when you read a book like The Bulletproof Marriage, which everybody should read, you get to understand that these things are normal. They're just part of adapting to each other, and then you learn how to deal with that.
And for a wife, she should definitely read as well the View Woman book.
Yeah, very strong.
I can't
And for
stress
singles,
that
they should
enough.
also read the
Dating.
They-
You know,
Dating bulletproof.
Bulletproof,
Bulletproof
dating.
dating, yes.
Bulletproof
you
dating.
know, with so much information available,
Yeah.
seminars, education,
Yeah.
seminars equals education, books, that, there shouldn't be so much suffering, if I can say that,
Yeah.
Yes.
in
Yeah.
relationships,
no need, yeah.
especially in the church.
Yeah.
So that gets me a bit puzzled sometimes.
Especially in the universal church,
Exactly.
Yeah.
because here we have
what else can we do to help?
exactly, we have weekly services, and not only once a week, but every Sunday we are praying for the family, blessing the couples. So there is no reason. We have books, we have seminars, we have marriage courses. So we have so much material, and people.
We are here to advise.
We are
also,
always
yeah.
available, so there is no reason. So Bishop, and what about the work of God, the work we do, because we pastors, we do this work. We have to dedicate lots of time and everything. And like Bishop Renato already shared his book, that he has that, dedication to the work of God, and work and work and work. And at some point it took a toll, also in his marriage. I don't know if you also made this mistake. I believe I did a kind of this at the beginning. I don't know if there was a problem for you in the beginning.
Yes and no, but the thing is, for example, with us, because, for example, I remember that from Bishop Renato's story. He's very much a homebody. He likes to stay at home, and Miss Christiane is a little bit different. So we learned this from their book. With us, we're very different. So I much prefer to just stay at home and relax, and Elena as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
so
Good.
this was never a problem. But I think we, especially, for example, when we got married, we went to open the church in Wood Green. And initially we didn't have an auxiliary. And I remember at the time we used to live a little bit far, take the bus. It was about an hour to get home. So in the morning, it was very tiring. But it was never an issue, because Elena was in the church with me every day. So I think because we like the same thing, we like to stay together. As long as
Yeah.
we're together, we're happy. If we're together,
Yeah.
sitting down, if we're together doing something, for us, that's okay. So I think that was never really a problem. We had other problems. We know there are couples who this thing that they didn't have time for each other was a problem. For us, was not a problem, because as long as we were together, whether we were in the church or resting a little bit, for us was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was just natural, because we do like the same things. Actually, it's very interesting, and we do like the same things. So if I miss him, I never get to really miss him because I'm always there with him. So like he said, we enjoy the most, the simpler things.
Yeah.
So we never had that problem, no.
Great.
I believe they're still in Wood Green. Was the bus situation, right,
Yes.
Bishop?
Oh
Yes.
my
The
goodness.
beginning, but
You and the bus situation.
all the time.
You see, this is
Yes.
because we were always together that happened.
Exactly.
So when we were in Wood Green, we used to take the bus every day to go to church and to come back. And of course, at night when we finished the church, the service finished, counseling people, closed the church. By the time we went home, sometimes it was 10 p.m. whatever. So there was this one time that we got on the bus to go home. We went to the top deck of the
Yeah.
bus, and we sat at the front, right at the front. And the bus was almost empty. There was a young woman sitting in the bus, maybe in the middle of the bus, a few rows back. And I remember this story because of how it happened, not because it was something special, but you'll understand why. So we were sitting on the first row, and we were talking about the church and how the day went and so on. And on the window of the wing mirror of the bus at the front, you see the reflection of who's at the back. And the girl who's at the back, at that time, people just started to get mobile phones. I think she was on the phone with her mother. And she said, I have no idea what this person looked like. I don't remember. But I remember what she said because of what happened afterwards. And this was, 20 years ago. And she said, Mom, run the bath for me because I'll be home soon. Now, if you ask me what this person looks like, I don't remember. But I remember what she said. Because when the bus is empty and you're talking to your wife, and then someone behind you says loud on the phone, Mom, run the bath because I'm going home. Your natural instinct is to look, because I could see the reflection. So I looked at the person who said that. When I looked, Elena said, why are you looking at her? Is she beautiful?
She actually was very pretty.
I don't remember. You see, Elena remembers.
You remember?
But that's his version. You will hear my version in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
But there is only one version.
No, there isn't.
This is it. But anyway, and I thought, hold on a second, where did that come from? Because this didn't even cross my mind.
You were eavesdropping.
No, I was not eavesdropping.
Was she that loud? Probably.
She was. There was only one other person in the bus, right? So we were talking, and someone said something like this at the back. Your natural instinct was to look. And that's the story. This would never, ever happen now because we know each other very well. But that's the story of the bus. Do you remember?
That's your version, because my version goes like this.
Let's listen.
Okay, it's true. We were in the bus. There was maybe one or two people there, and yes, maybe the woman was being loud. She was a young woman, but I was slightly annoyed at him because he wasn't talking much. So that was already
Because
getting to me
because
like
I was quiet.
exactly, and I was trying to understand.
I didn't know this part.
I was trying to understand, why is he so quiet? Is there anything wrong? Am I that boring? What is it? I don't know.
Because, for example,
So he was quiet, but he was staring at the glass, at the window, and I'm like, okay, is she pretty or what? What is it? So I was sarcastic.
yeah. So this thing, for
That's my
example,
version.
of me being quiet, I remember that when I was an auxiliary, we're still auxiliaries today, but when we would go on Sunday morning in the car with the pastor to the church from home, whatever, the pastor would, talk about, Sunday. But usually when I go to the church on Sunday morning, if I go by bus, for example, in Taiwan, we would go by bus every Sunday. Elena knows this. I do not like to talk at all because the moment I leave home and I'm in the bus, I'm already thinking about the service, what I've prepared. I know that for her it may be a little bit boring, but this is just me. Everybody's
I mean,
different.
now I understand and I
The
respect
nothing
that.
box, right, Bishop?
Now I
Yes.
understand.
Actually, it's not really a nothing box. It's a plenty box
They are
because
prepared.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking about
Yes.
how
He's prepared.
Important
the
things.
service and evangelism and so yeah.
But that was at the end of the day, but never mind.
Yeah. So now,
But-
now I know why she said. I didn't know this part. That it was
Yeah.
because I was too quiet.
But you know the good thing about it, Bishop, is because we can understand better now that the whole situation that happened because she thought that you were being quiet, thinking
so
about
quiet.
I don't know, is because in the beginning of a marriage, perhaps she didn't know you well.
Yeah, and I didn't know her.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
you
So
would-
that was the perhaps the root of the problem, right?
Yeah, maybe I felt a little insecure because I thought, well, maybe I'm not interesting enough, or my conversation is not interesting. I thought, well, I am intelligent. I can talk about football and things. I would make an effort, right? Many times. Didn't always get it right, but why doesn't he talk? What's wrong with him? But it was his normal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a very common problem between couples. Because they don't understand each other. This lack of understanding will cause problems, and then they stop actually focusing in their relationship. And they start focusing the problem. So because the focus now is on the problem, they are unable to improve the relationship.
Yeah.
Of course, that was not a problem afterwards because you managed how to solve that.
Yeah, because I learned, I don't know if it was at the love therapy or one of the seminars, I learned this thing that really changed the way that I thought about my husband being quiet. Because then he would turn around and say, "Are you upset with me?" I said, "Well, you should know." And then he went like,
But this is a classic, right?
"No, I don't know."
This is a classic
So,
that
yeah.
a lot of men ask the wife, "What are you upset about?" And then she says, "Well, you should know."
Yeah.
This is a classic answer.
But the thing is, this I learned, and I really thought, oh, this is. I put it to the test, and it's really true. You actually need to tell him what you want.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's not going to read between the lines like we women expect.
Yeah.
You know, men are very much, I call it black and white. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You want them to help you with the trash, take it downstairs. You need to ask.
It's true.
If it doesn't
Absolutely.
take it,
And we will do it
that's
gladly.
true.
We
Yeah.
will do it gladly.
It
But
doesn't mean
Just
they
let
don't
us know,
love you.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started telling him, listen, why don't you talk a bit more? It makes me happier. So then he started meeting me halfway. So
yeah.
Yeah, just straight to the point.
We got a question.
Yeah, we have a good question. How to keep a good and healthy relationship even after many years of marriage? It's nice.
Do you want to answer?
listen, it's just going to be me talking here. Okay.
How to keep.
You know, I really, and I'm saying this very honestly and sincerely, for me, we are closer now than before. Definitely. Definitely. We have really, truly become, we have like a bit of one another in us.
Yeah.
I am, some people that used to know me when I was single, especially in the church, when they see me today, they say, you have this thing like Bishop James. You have this way of speaking. You look alike. You know, we don't look alike, but we have very similar mannerisms and things. So we have, it's like this. The more you know someone, the more you love the person. And things that used to irritate me, like little quirks like sarcasm and, sense of humor. Now I really, really like it. It's just...
You know, I remember, to answer this question, something that Bishop Macedo always says. He says that he doesn't go anywhere or do anything without his wife, his Mrs. Esther. So, you know, it's very rare that I do anything or go anywhere without Elena. And actually, for example, if we go to see something in a church, sometimes you come with me because you deal with part of the administration. But other than that, we want to be always together as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to keep a healthy marriage together after 10, 20 years, the more you are together, the better. I think that's very important.
And when I don't go with him to view the churches and things, he always asks me, do you want to come with me? And I said, of course. But then who is going with you? And then he mentions Pastor so-and-so, only men. So I'm like, no, leave it. Just go, do what you have to. But when he comes, home, he tells me, "Oh, you should have seen the church. It looks great." So he shares a lot with me, and I share a lot with him. So, yeah.
This is important, Bishop James. You know, this thing of allowing our spouse to be part of our lives, because sometimes that's the problem we can see in couples. They are married, but for some reason they decide to keep that, you know, so-called privacy. You know, that's my space, that's your space, and it is that classical example that Bishop Macedo always use about the potatoes. So they are not allowing them to be one. So they still, you know, kind of two separate things. And you know, this very important tip you are sharing here with us, this very important secret, I believe that's the key for a successful marriage. You know, allowing your spouse to be part of your daily life, even in things, for example, Miss Helena was saying something about football. Probably it's not your thing, but perhaps she...
I get it wrong, but I try.
But that's the point, I believe, you know, because that's not my thing. But okay, you know, let's talk about it. For example, when she does something on your hair, okay, I don't care what kind of, you know, thing you use on your hair, but let me talk about it. We are now allowing to be together.
You know, here's the thing. I think that sometimes couples think like this. Okay, we've been together for a long time. We need to do something different to renew our marriage. Actually, you don't. What you need to do to keep the marriage solid is do the things that work often. So, for example, that's why we say that as long as we're together, we're happy, right? If we've got nothing to do but we're together, we're happy, and that's the thing. I think people sometimes look to do these crazy things. That's when you can, but honestly, I cherish more the simple things we do together. For example, I usually tell the pastor, this is me. No matter how busy I am, no matter, always, every single day, no matter what happens, we have always lunch together and dinner together, no matter what happens.
An afternoon snack.
Yes, unless, you know, we went to Nottingham on Monday to see the church there and so on, so we had to leave in the morning, come back in the afternoon. But other than that, no matter how busy we are, this is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable.
And we do share a picture of what we're eating sometimes.
Yes.
Sorry, our little secret.
Yeah.
But you know something else, Pastor, that I forgot to mention, that many people take for granted.
Yeah.
We've known each other for 22 years, but we still say thank you and please.
Yeah.
Can you please pass me this? Can you please help me? If he does something annoying, he will say, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Always.
We have another question here, Bishop. What has been the best part of your marriage so far, apart from the wedding day?
Look, the wedding day was good, but I think...
But you already shared about the wedding day was not that.
It was very quick.
Yeah,
Simple.
Honestly, I think the best part are the challenges we go through together. Actually, we were talking about this tonight in the service, that the things that brought us closer together were the challenges, the problems, the difficulties. So when we look back at, you know, things we went through in the work of God, because they are challenges, these things are the things that bring us together. And even though they are not the nicest things, they are the best things, because the difficulties is what brings us together to trust each other more, to talk more. I would say this has been the best thing, are the challenges we went through together that brought us closer together.
Yeah, it's true. And also, I have seen how much we have grown spiritually together, because this is what happens to many couples, especially when they come to church. The wife doesn't see her husband with good eyes. She looks at his mistakes only. She doesn't see him as Jesus. So when it's the husband speaking, she will listen. But when it's like him giving her some advice regarding her spiritual life, you know, or stop doing this is not good for you, for your salvation, she will not listen. So I think we've grown a lot together. We are able to share what we are learning and, you know, what God is teaching us at a personal level. And we don't argue as much anymore. So I think this is really good, because we've gotten to know each other so well.
And this thing of the arguing, you know, it's not that we argued a lot.
We disagree.
When we disagree, we had this little conflict sometimes. But, after you go through that part and you go through challenges together, you learn about each other more. The parts that we look back and we remember fondly are not the, we went to this special restaurant and this special. We don't really remember that stuff that much, actually, because we don't do that a lot. But it's the fights we went through, not fights with each other, but the fights together against the problem, against the situation, the work of God.
That made us closer.
Starting the church there in Taiwan, there were challenges there normally because you're starting the church that brought us closer together.
Yeah.
These are the things that we look back and we talk about. Oh, do you remember this happened?
Yeah.
And so couples, you want to remember a good thing in your marriage. It's not going to be the holidays, the cruises.
Yeah.
It's going to be the fights you go through together.
Or
Yeah.
flowers,
And that you
gifted.
overcame. And then you look at each other and you say, look, we've come this far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Because these lessons, they
time.
will last longer than the pictures and
Yeah.
the memories and everything. Someone from Wood Green is asking for this advice. What is the advice for you to marry someone who help you to maintain your salvation until the end? What would be the advice?
Look, the thing is, the responsibility to maintain our salvation is ours. And that comes with the choice you make. If I want to keep my salvation, I'm not going to compromise that salvation by marrying someone who has no interest in keeping their salvation, because a good orange doesn't make a rotten orange go good. It's always the opposite. The rotten orange makes the good one go bad. So if you want to keep your salvation, marry someone who values their salvation as much as you do yours. But even saying that, remember that you will have to adapt. There will be problems adapting. As long as you can understand that and you don't compromise on this one point, a relationship is not going to destroy your salvation if you marry someone who is of the same faith, and not just of the same faith, but someone who is born of God.
Yeah, born of God, key. Wait, make sure that you have the Holy Spirit, first of all, so that you have wisdom to choose well, and make sure the other person is at the same level, as you. They want the same things, like my husband said. And like you said, and I think it's really, really important, don't put the responsibility on the other person's hand to keep yourself saved. Yes, we help one another, but I will answer for my own decisions
It's
at the end
true.
of the day. Okay?
Tá ligado?
Very important.
Bishop James and Miss Helena, look at the time.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Almost midnight again. Like last
it was a pleasure being here. Make
Yes.
sure you value the love therapy services, value the marriage course, value the love walk. We have a very, very special love walk coming up later in the year. These things are here to bless you. Hope that our experience and our previous mistakes help people not to make mistakes.
And practice what you learn.
That's right.
Many
Yeah.
people want more knowledge, but they don't practice what they
Yes.
know.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put in
No.
practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true, very true. So it's time for you to absorb everything you learn here tonight and live it. Thank you for your company. May God bless you. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.